Predicting every NFL team's record, here we have the Cowboys. The Cowboys have a bit of an uphill battle. Their offense returns. Their defense gets a little bit better with key additions. Let's see how they do. In week 1, they beat the Giants. Even though they're at MetLife, they have to win this game. This will set the tone for their year if they lose. Then they lose to the Commanders. The Commanders and them are pretty evenly matched up this year, I think, but the Cowboys are probably a little bit better. But Jaden Daniels has to show that he's back. Then the Cowboys beat the Ravens in a pretty big statement win. I just think the Cowboys have the juice at home to do it. I know that's a little bit contradictory of the game before, but in division, it's different. Then they lose to the Texans because this Texans defense is going to carry them all year. Then they beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're just a better version of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, essentially. Then they lose to the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers have Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons is going to have a great game. That's just always how the narrative goes. Then they lose to the Eagles because the Eagles are a juggernaut. Of course, their roster is one of the best in football still. Then they beat the Cardinals because the Cardinals aren't going to be great. Then they lose to the Colts in a bad loss, I would say. But they pick it back up and make up for it by getting a good win versus the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers are going to be fighting for a playoff spot just like the Cowboys are. They need to pick this one up at home. You got to get hot at 5-5 to make the playoffs, man. So they pick up a win versus the Tennessee Titans. They lose the series and lose both games to the Eagles this year. It's a tough one to come out on top of and split. And then you lose another game to the Seahawks because this part of your schedule gets ruthless. And you lose another one to the Los Angeles Rams. And when you think it's going to get any easier, you have the Jacksonville Jaguars next. But you end up picking up this game narrowly. Now you're at 7-8 and you have a chance to make the playoffs if you can win the next 2 games. And guess what? The Dallas Cowboys always rise to the occasion. Maybe. And they win the last 2 games, putting them at 9-8. Is that enough? The Giants are everyone's sneaky pick to click, and I sort of agree with them. Let's see how their schedule pans out. In week 1, they have the Dallas Cowboys. I don't think they're off the rip beating the Dallas Cowboys. I think their offense is too much for this defense to handle. I know that the Giants could be good on both sides of the ball, but I just don't see it in week 1. And then you get a slap in the face week 2 by the Los Angeles Rams. It's just unlucky scheduling. This is just a bad matchup. Then you face the Titans, you pick up a win there, and another win versus the Cardinals. So after a rough start, we're 2-2, we're back on track. Then you have the Commanders. The Commanders are a little bit more advanced than you guys. They're a little bit more poised. You guys are going to be pretty similar teams. The Commanders pick this one up at home in division. Then you got the Saints. The Saints are a good team. The Saints are going to pick up this game on the road. And then you have the Texans. The Texans are a way better team than you. You're not winning that one, especially in Texas. And the same thing with the Eagles. You're not winning in the link. But just like they did before, they bounce back. They win versus the Commanders at home. The Jacksonville Jaguars come into MetLife and they lose. And then you go to Indianapolis and you pick up another win, setting you up at 5-6, and you can make a push. But guess what? Your schedule does not get any easier again. Getting back to 500 versus the San Francisco 49ers, but you lose to the Seahawks because they're so much better than you. You beat the Browns. And then you got the Lions at 7-7. This can determine what your year is going to be. The Lions end up beating you, especially at home. It shouldn't be too close. Then you have the Dallas Cowboys in Dallas. You don't win that one either. And then the Eagles come to you, and you're essentially already out of it. So you win this game. The Eagles don't really need to pick this one up. 8-9. I think this is sort of best case scenario. The Eagles have a lot of questions that need to be answered after losing A.J. Brown. Will this offense finally figure it out, especially with a new offensive coordinator? What will they show? Let's find out. In week 1, at home, in the link, they beat the Commanders. Of course they do. Then they beat the Titans because the Titans aren't ready yet. I think they'll be fun, but not yet. Then they go to the Chicago Bears place, and they lose to them because the Chicago Bears are going to be great this year. And then you have another unlucky matchup. The NFC is so good this year, they're losing to the Rams. The Rams are so much better than them. Matt Stafford's going to put on a performance and beat this team. Schedule doesn't get much easier from here on out. They beat the Jacksonville Jaguars in Jacksonville because they have to get back on track and show who they are. Then they beat the Panthers and the Cowboys. Now they're on a 3-game heater. They're starting to get back on track and look like themselves. Then they lose to the Commanders at home in division matchup. You got to drop a game here and there. 5-3, you're in a good spot. Then you face the Giants at home. You beat the Giants. The Giants are going to be fun. It's going to be a tough game. And if you aren't right, the season could really take a turn. Then you have the Steelers. The Steelers are old. They're not going to be competing for much the entire season. You beat them easily. Then you have the Dallas Cowboys in Dallas. You take this win. The Dallas Cowboys are going to be a pretty good matchup for you guys, but you guys are the more poised team. Then you have the Cardinals. You beat the Cardinals pretty easily. Then you have the Colts. I think you beat the Colts as well, and you're on a pretty big heater. You're 10-3. You're in a really good spot, but your schedule only gets harder from here on out. You lose to the Seahawks. The Seahawks basically take your lunch money. And then you have a really tough one versus the Texans. I think you win this game. You're at 11-4. You're sitting pretty, and you drop the last 2 games to finish at 11-6. you're still in a really good spot to win the division. With getting Jaden Daniels back and hopefully keeping him healthy, will this team bounce back to the NFC Championship contenders that they were? Let's find out. In week 1, they have a bad matchup. They lose to the Eagles. But they bounce back in Dallas and beat Dallas in their own house. But guess what? You have the Seahawks next week, and you're 1-2, easily the Seahawks juggernaut. And guess what? You're losing to the Indianapolis Colts. Danny Dimes is starting to feel better. Then you have the Giants at home. I think you take care of business pretty easily. But then you go to San Fran, and next to all those electrical fields, your team is one of those teams that doesn't even want to try to play hard over there because you cannot afford to get Jaden Daniels hurt again. Then you face the Eagles at home. This is going to be a tough one, but you pick up the win here, surprisingly enough. But guess what? The NFC West is still in your building, and they're coming, and they're taking your lunch money. And then you go to MetLife, and you lose to the Giants, a young and hungry team. They're fighting for a playoff spot too. You're 3-6, you're not in a good spot, and it's not going to get better with the Cincinnati Bengals. You're now 3-7, and you have to make up a ton of ground. Well, guess what? Now you have the Cardinals and the Titans back-to-back, and you've picked up a little bit. You're 5-7. And then I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. I think you could beat the Houston Texans. I don't think it's going to be easy. I could have easily picked the Texans to win this game, but I'm giving you a little bit of hope. And then you have the Falcons, another big win here. You're 7-7, and the rest of the schedule, your fate depends on you. But you lose to the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota. This is a hard matchup for you, a really good defense. You beat the Jacksonville Jaguars in Jacksonville, which is already generous enough, and you lose to the Dallas Cowboys in the final week of the season, finishing 8-9, and I don't think that's going to be good enough. Follow to find out.